What's going on, guys? It's Trey Biddy here, right? We haven't done a YouTube video in quite some time, right? So the last time we did a YouTube video was us talking about how the U.S. men's national team was going to win the World Cup, right? And judging based off of the title of this video, we did not, right? We did not win the World Cup, right? We weren't even close, right? We're not close whatsoever, right? We had the most eyes on a soccer game, right? Or what we call it here, soccer, right? The most eyes we've ever had on a soccer game in the U.S. history, right? And the most eyes we've ever had. Embarrassing loss, right? One of the most embarrassing losses in U.S. men's national team history came with the most eyes being watched on soccer ever, right? This is being recorded the day before the World Cup final, so we don't know if maybe that will end up breaking the record, right? I highly doubt it, though. But regardless, the most eyes we've ever gone on a soccer game in general, we did put up the most catastrophic stinker of all time, right? Catastrophic stinker ever, right? It is what it is, though. It is what it is. But before I want to get into anything further on in this video, I do want to ask anybody watching this video, I do want to ask you comment, you like, and you subscribe, right? Comment, like, or subscribe, right? Asking for one of those three outcomes, right? Would very much appreciate the growth of this channel, right? Very much would appreciate a like, sub, or a comment, right? Whatever comment, right? You can comment you can comment, fuck USA, right? So you comment any of that, right? Like, comment, and subscribe, right? Would go a long way, right? But now, getting into the roster and how each one of these players have done, right? And what the future would look like for the U.S. men's national team, right? So I want to start off with the goalkeepers, right? I want to start off with the goalkeepers, right? We can start off with Chris Brady, right? Chris Brady, you know, shout out Chris Brady. Shout out Chris Brady, right? He didn't do a darn thing in this World Cup, right? But shout out Chris Brady, right? Shout out Chris Brady, right? We need a third goalkeeper on the roster, right? Chris Brady, I don't know how well he did in training, but shout out Chris Brady, right? Shout out Chris Brady, right? Shout out Chris Brady for doing your thing. But now going into Matt Turner, though. We're going into Matt Turner, right? Somebody who did get a game, right? He did concede a few, right? Right? But man, how the mighty have fallen. How the mighty have fallen for one Mr. Matt Turner, right? When we're the beginning of his career, right, to the beginning of his U.S. men's national team career, right, we're having conversations of, oh, who's gonna be the wearing the number 1 shirt? Is it gonna be Matt Turner, right? Is it gonna be Zach Steffen, right? Who's wearing the number 1 shirt, right? And then now it's at this point of his career, right? He's just completely conceded the number 1, not the number 1 shirt, but just the starting goalkeeper role to Matt Freese, right? And he's the only goalkeeper right now that's technically still in Europe right now. He's technically still in Europe. He's under contract still with Lyon of Ligue 1, right? Lyon, one of the top clubs in Europe, right? One of the top clubs in Europe in general, right? But right now he's on loan, playing in the MLS, right? He's been playing in the MLS for, I believe, a year and a half already, right? He spent some time in the MLS just getting reps, right? Just getting reps, right? I mean, that's all we can really ask, because if you were to return back to the Lyon lineup, who knows if he's just a Chris Brady on that roster, right? I mean, who knows, right? But man, how the mighty have fallen. Do I fancy Matt Turner's performances in the World Cup, or performance in the World Cup? I do not whatsoever. I do not. But, I mean, regardless, we do move on, right? We do move on, and hopefully Matt Turner can get some more minutes in Europe, right? And maybe build his way up back into the lineup, right? Maybe he can start showing some performances in the Gold Cup, right? Ultimately, I think you're going to need to start off in the Gold Cup before you can move your way up back to the Copa or Nations League, right? Oh, I think you can squeeze in a few Nation League lineup here and there, but you're going to need to build your way back up to the number 1 role in our lineup, right? Going on to Matt Freese. Oh, man, Matt Freese. I do want to say I do feel some sort of way. Right? Matt Freese, right? I mean, we're going to discount the last game right here. We're gonna discount this. That's like its own separate entity for Matt Freese, right? Discounting that game, right? He played a pretty decent World Cup, right? Nothing to throw 20, 30 pounds at, right? Nothing to throw a large sum of money at, but I mean, he did play pretty solid. I guess you could say he did play pretty solid leading up to that Belgium game, right? And when we get to the Belgium game, right, masterclass, or shall I say, disaster class, right? Absolute disaster class for Matt Freese, right, in the Belgium game, right? I know he's been reliving that in his head, right? He did that little ESPN article, right? I believe it was him talking to ESPN, right? He did so, kind of explaining how that Belgium performance has been circulating in his head, right? Messing a lot with his mentals, right? But that's what a performance like that will do to you, right? It kills your confidence. It kills everything about your confidence, right? That third goal. That third goal. That third goal. Wow. That third goal. I'm reliving it in my head, right? I'm reliving it. Don't watch stream. don't watch my stream about it. But that third goal was absolutely atrocious, right? Atrocious work, right? I mean, the defenders, like Chris Richards, wasn't really exactly helping in that case, right? But a lot of the blame is being put on Matt Freese, right? Rightfully so, right? It is being put on Matt Freese, right? I'm hoping he can recover from this, right? Right now he's playing in the MLS still, right? All our goalkeepers are getting minutes in the MLS, right? If you want to see some goalkeepers that playing, I guess, or are in European clubs currently, right? They can't buy a beer. They can't buy a beer respectfully, right? Or they're not even close, right? Or they can't even vote. Much less buy a beer. They can't even vote, right? So very, very slim pickings, right? Very slim pickings for us at goalkeeper, right? A lot of we do have a lot of goalkeepers that have potential. However, they can't vote. They cannot vote. They just can't vote right now. So it's very hard to predict from right now in 4 years. It's very hard to predict from now, right? Right now I'm 23, right? I'm unk, right? Pretty unkish, right? In 4 years now, who knows what the hell I'm gonna be doing, right? Who knows what the hell I'm gonna be doing? It's very hard to predict. It's very hard to predict these sort of things, right? Going into the lineups, but our goalkeepers overall, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious how much of a weak point we have at goalkeeper, right? We're just praying and hoping that Gaga. We're praying and hoping that Gaga can maybe step up. Maybe he can step up in the future, right? If he doesn't step up, oh fuck, right? Oh fuck. We are in for a fun time in 2030, right? We are in a fun time for 2030, right? Moving on to the midfielders, right? We'll start with the midfielders first because that is probably the one thing that I've been picking at with Mauricio Pochettino, right? Is our midfield selection, right? Not that we had a bad selection, right? I mean, we'll get into the overall selection, right? It's not that we had a bad selection of midfielders, right? It's just poquito, right? So we didn't really have a whole lot of midfield production, right? Very limited in the midfield positions, right? We're just start off with Tyler Adams, right? He was the captain before, right? Now the armband was given to Tim Ream, probably due to age and experience, right? But overall, Tyler Adams is the captain of this team, right? He just is the captain of this team, right? You need a player like Tyler Adams. Overall, you do need a player like Tyler Adams. His performance this World Cup, I mean, it was consistent. It was very consistent, incredibly consistent, right? I do fancy Tyler Adams. I'm a big Tyler Adams fan, right? I'm a huge fan of Mr. Black Forces himself, right? There wasn't really much more we could ask for him. There really wasn't much more we could ask for him besides just maybe he could put his body on the line a little. Maybe he could learn to score a little bit better, right? Score, put the ball in better places to score, right? Obviously, but defensively, his work defensively, right? His work he's all over the place. He's all over the place, right? There's nothing more that we can ever ask for a player like Tyler Adams, right? Speaking of nothing more we could ask for a player, right? Weston McKennie, right? Weston McKennie. I said this before the tournament, right? I do believe that Weston McKennie going into this tournament is our best player, right? He is our best player, right? I do think he's one of our 3 best players, right? I do think now we have a couple of these now. We have a couple of them, boys. He's one of our 3 best players, Weston McKennie, right? He gets a lot of minutes for his Serie A club in Juventus, right? He gets a lot of minutes. Same thing with Tyler Adams. He gets a lot of minutes at his respective club, Bournemouth, right? But Weston's just a Swiss Army knife, right? He's a Swiss Army knife. You put him anywhere you want. You put him anywhere you want on the field, right? He performs with class, right? Absolute beauty of a player, right? Everybody would want a player like a Tyler Adams and a Weston McKennie, right? Weston McKennie did have, I will say this though, he did have a slow start. He did have to build his form. He did have to regain his form a little bit, right, as the World Cup progressed, right? As the World Cup progressed, he did have to go back into his high-class form, right? He did disappear in the Belgium game. I would have to say that. He did disappear in the Belgium game. Sadly, he did disappear. He did disappear for a little bit, right? I mean, fuck, there's a lot of people that disappeared in that game, right? But Weston McKennie, though. Weston McKennie, great player. He had a great World Cup, right? He had a great World Cup outside of the first game, outside of the Paraguay game, this last Belgium game where he just disappeared, right? The Paraguay game, right, he was up and down. He was up and down more so. The Belgium game, he did just vanish, right? Where has he gone? He did vanish, but overall, he was very solid. He was very incredibly solid for us. Going into the third guy, right? Going into the third guy we had at midfield. Can we get a round of applause for this guy, right? Can we get a round of applause, right? IRL, can we get a round of applause for... Can we get a round of applause for Sebastian Berhalter, right? Sebastian Berhalter proved a lot of people wrong. He proved a lot of people wrong, right? Sebastian Berhalter, I mean, I'm a Euro snob, right? I'm a Euro snob, right? It is what it is, right? I'm a Euro snob, right? If I see a player from MLS, I'm throwing up, right? It is what it is, right? It is what it is, right? We've seen the production from MLS players in the latter years of the USA men's national team. We've seen the production, right? We've seen the lack of the drop-off, right? We've seen the drop-off of production from the European players and the MLS players, right? There is a noticeable drop-off. Sebastian Berhalter said, fuck all of that. He said, fuck all of that, right? Berhalter came to play. He came to play. His form this World Cup was in the upper echelon. He was out there. He was out there. He proved all the Greg Berhalter allegations wrong. Every single Greg Berhalter allegation, bitch slapped. Absolutely bitch smacked. I'm a little disappointed because as soon as the World Cup ended, he was rumored in a lot of different teams in the championship, right? Not necessarily the Premier League, but in the championship, though, right? He was rumored with Middlesbrough. He was rumored with Derby County, right? Couple of high-end championship squads, right? Absolute beautiful of a World Cup, right? Beautiful World Cup. If there's a couple of people on this roster that did add a couple of M's to their value. They did add a couple of M's to their value. Berhalter was definitely one of them, right? Berhalter... If you want to talk about, like, percentages, Berhalter was up there with Balogun, right? We'll get to Balogun a lot later, right? But Berhalter was up there with Balogun for most percentages added to their M's, right? He was a very quality player, right? I'm now looking at this brother. Looking at this brother now. Hold on, turn around. Let me see something real quick, right? I'm looking. I'm watching out. I'm watching out for Sebi Berhalter, right? We all watching out for Sebi Berhalter, right? We're all waiting to see what he can do, right? Moving on, right? Moving on to Christian Roldan, right? Right? When he was selected, right? Well, I mean, when Berhalter was selected too, right? I was kind of like, I had the ick, right? But when Roldan was selected, right? He was injured the entirety of the World Cup. Pretty much the entirety of the World Cup, he was injured. So he didn't really add anything to what we were doing, right? He didn't really add anything to it, right? He's starting to get up there in age too, Christian Roldan, right? So I'm assuming this is definitely going to be his last major tournaments. We'll probably see him in the Gold Cup this coming year, right? But other than that, this is probably his last like real major tournament for U.S. men's national team. I guess all I could really say is thank you for nothing, but thank you though. Thank you for your service, right? Thank you for your service, Christian Roldan, true patriot, right? True patriot, right? He got drafted in the MLS. He's so patriotic. He stayed in the MLS's entirety of his career, right? So patriotic of Christian Roldan, and yeah, salute, salute, salute. Goodbye, goodbye, Christian Roldan. Going into the defenders, right? Going into the defenders, Chris Richards. I have dreams. I was having throughout the World Cup, right? I was having dreams of how many M's Chris Richards just added to his, right? I was just having dream like, oh my goodness, like Crystal Palace is gonna like say like, y'all better make me get rid of Chris Richards, right? And there's gonna be teams that are gonna be like, oh, we're gonna make you, all right. Oh, we're gonna make you get rid of Chris Richards. I don't know. That Belgium game really did a lot of damage for our group as a whole. It really did a lot of irreversible damage for our group as a whole. Chris Richards played a perfect tournament. He played a perfect tournament up until the Belgium game, of course. He played a perfect tournament. There wasn't any more Chris Richards could have done to have played better. He played an absolutely perfect tournament. That Paraguay game where he broke that record for consecutive completed passes, 84, 86, right? Some crazy ass number like that. Chris Richards was doing shit on the field that we have never seen. We have never seen before. Ever. Not just from a US men's national team. We have never seen the shit that Chris Richards was doing on that field. The first couple of games, Chris Richards was legitimately a man amongst boys. He was a man amongst boys. He was Superman. He was Superman those couple of games, right? And then that Belgium game happened, and man, that Belgium game happened. And it just broke my heart. It just broke my heart because just watching like, man, Chris, like we were doing so good, Chris. We're doing so good. We're doing amazing. And then just that flop of a game breaks my heart. Chris Richards, if you're not in tune with his work in the Premier League, right? Because he is in the Premier League and he is a top defender already in the Premier League before this tournament, right? He was a top defender in the Premier League before this tournament for Crystal Palace. He just won a trophy for Crystal Palace. There was nothing more. There was nothing more you could have done for the badge. There's nothing more you could have put on for the badge, right? I really do think that Chris Richards is going to be on this squad come 2030. I really do think he's going to be, and I do think he's going to be like top level. He's going to be in his top form. He will be in his top form 2030. Hopefully, he's going to be a little bit more healthy come 2030, right? Because he was kind of rushing back from an injury, right? He was kind of perfectly fine once we got to the tournament. By that time, he was in the squad for that final, but he did not actually participate, right? Whatsoever, despite him being a starter, right? He is a starter for Crystal Palace, right? He played an absolute perfect tournament. I really can't fault him for anything but that last game. He was amazing, right? Moving on to Anthony Robinson, Jedi Robinson writes, Jedi, right? The first couple of games he was Jedi, right? I'm not gonna lie. He was pretty decent. He was one of the more decent players in the Belgium game, right? Come second half. That first half though was just everybody was awful that first half besides one player, right? We'll get to that one player eventually. But he wasn't all that bad in the second half. Jedi was an up and down player. He was an up and down player, right? I say that he was an up and down player, but really, to me, his only bad performance, or his only piss poor, I guess you could say, performance, right? Below average performance was against Bosnia in the round of 32. It was the only piss poor performance I was able to catch from Jedi Robinson. Other than that, he was very solid, right? He pushed the ball forward, right? Him and Serginho Dest are very good at what they do. They're very good at what they do, right? Transcendent players, absolute transcendent players for us, right? Lineup changers, right? Completely, we have to change our lineups to include both of these monsters of players. He really did his dog diddly thing. He really did his dog diddly thing, right? Outside of the, I guess you could say he was a little bit less impressive in the Australia game, right? But he was very solid in the Australia game too. Still, other than that, his form for the Bosnia game and his form in the first half of the Belgium game, piss, but very quality player, right? Very quality player. He's played in Fulham for I don't know how many years at this point, right? He's been a Fulham regular for so many years, right? He's been one of the best players to come from Fulham, right? We do remember that duo, right? We do remember that duo a couple of years ago, right? Before he went to that MLS retirement home. We do remember that duo of Anthony Robinson and Tim Ream for Fulham, right? Obviously now it's just him being a loner out there in Fulham at this point, but very quality player in Europe, very quality player for us, right? Solid tournament for him. All around solid tournament for Jedi Robinson, right? Moving on to Alex Freeman, right? Alex Freeman, can we get another round of applause for Alex Freeman? Like, alright, okay, that was stopped because of that last game. Alex Freeman, right? We go back to that YouTube video. We go back to that YouTube video way back when, right? When I was asking for who's going to be the defender that's going to step up for us, right? Because we have Chris Richards. Right? Unfortunately, we were going to have to end up playing Tim Ream. It's against my will. But unfortunately, we did end up playing Tim Ream, right? We'll get to Tim Ream next. I was asking for somebody to step up, right? I gave a list of defenders, right? I gave a list of defenders that we could have had step up, right? Lo and behold, Alex Freeman came through. I didn't even talk about Alex Freeman in the last YouTube video, right? I didn't even talk about him in the USA was going to win the World Cup YouTube video, right? I did not talk about Alex Freeman then, right? Alex Freeman came in, right? He's only had really a year of first team experience, right? And the last couple of months, right? He's been playing in La Liga, right? That is just crazy in its own right? First team minutes in La Liga, starter minutes for La Liga, right? For Club Villarreal. What a player, right? What a player. What a tournament, right? What a tournament up until the belt. I mean, when I say what a tournament, I'm not counting the Belgium game, right? The Belgium game was just its own. It was its own shtick. Alex Freeman played a hell of a tournament. Right? He's had quality games, right? Scored some goals, right? He scored some goals. Beautiful world-class football from Alex Freeman, right? Beautiful World Cup ball from Alex Freeman, right? There's nothing more we could have asked, right? Besides for him to play like normal in the Belgium game, right? There was really nothing more we could have asked for Alex Freeman. He really did his thing. He really did his shit. He was really doing his shit, right? Him and Chris Richards, right? Him and Chris Richards were going band for band. Obviously, Chris Richards is just... There's class and then there's world class, right? But they were going band for band this World Cup. I mean, too bad that they went band for band in the Belgium game also, but he looked terrific. He looked absolutely terrific this World Cup, right? I cannot wait for the future going forward with Alex Freeman, right? I cannot wait. Timothy Ream. I do want to give a round of applause for Timothy Ream, right? All right, I do want to give a round of applause for him, right? Softer round of applause, right? But it's more so of a retirement, right? Of a retirement round of applause, right? I do want to group him and Mark McKenzie, right? Mark McKenzie, right? Mark McKenzie. We'll get him out the way. Mark McKenzie, you are a true patriot. We are a true patriot. Writes, I hope I never see you in the U.S. Men's National. Maybe. You know what, Mark? You play in this Gold Cup, right? I want you to play in this Gold Cup next year. I want you to play in this Gold Cup next year. But your service is no longer needed, Mark McKenzie. Your service is no longer needed, Mark McKenzie. Same thing for Tim Ream, right? Same thing for Tim Ream. Your service is no longer needed, right? What a great career. What a great career you had, Tim Ream, right? What a great career you had. What a very solid tournament, too. A very solid tournament, right? People like me were hating. People like me were hating, right? We were hating on, like, oh, man, like, he's getting the captain's armband, and he's gonna end up starting because he's getting the captain's armband. Like, we're bitching the whole way through. We're bitching the whole way through, but overall, he played pretty decent. It wasn't like, oh, send him back to Fulham or anything, right? But he played pretty decent. He played pretty solid, right? Again, nothing more we could really not ask for a Tim Ream, right? There was nothing really more we could ask for him besides maybe don't look as geriatric in the Belgium game. Sorry, but other than that, Mark McKenzie, Tim Ream. Great U.S. Men's National Team careers, right? I hope we don't see you going forward, right? Maybe y'all both can pull up to the Gold Cup next year, right? And then have y'all's little retirement tour, right? Y'all little Kobe Bryant retirement tour. But shout out Kobe. But I hope I do not see you again putting on the badge, right? I hope I do not see you again putting on the badge unless if it's for some friendly going up against Micronesia or Indonesia or some shit like that, right? I hope I never see you in another wearing the badge again, right? You've done too much for us, right? You both have done way too much for us, right? Some good, some bad, but you've done way too much for us. Moving on, right? We have Miles Robinson. Get the fuck away from my squad, please. Get away from my squad. Thank you. Respectfully, get away. Yeah, so moving on. We have last two defenders to go over, right? We have Joe Scally, right? Joe Scally, Bundesliga defender, right? Longtime Bundesliga defender, right? Didn't really get a whole lot of minutes, but when Joe Scally was on the field, though, he didn't look that bad. He really didn't look all that bad. Very solid minutes, right? Very solid minutes we did get out of Joe Scally, right? Nothing too crazy, right? He wasn't out there looking like Freeman or Richards or anything, right? Very solid, right? He was very, very solid. He was very solid of a player, right? And yeah, I mean, I do hope we end up getting to see more Joe Scally in the future, right? I don't know if he will be able to make it for 2030, right? But I do hope we do get to see more Joe Scally in the future, right? And if he keeps up his club form, I mean, we're kind of put in the corner at this point. We're kind of put in the corner. Like we got to bring him on. We got to bring him on regardless, right? Same thing with Austin Trusty, right? Austin Trusty, he's a defender for Celtic FC, right? Gets a lot of minutes for starter for Celtic FC, right? In my opinion, he was probably our most underrated defender, right? He came in the game, he played great, right? He played some great football whenever he got in the game, right? I feel like we really do need to see more Austin Trusty, right? I feel like people need to open their eyes. We might need to open our eyes a little bit more. We just might need to open our eyes a little bit more. Watch when Austin Trusty's on the field. Watch when Trusty's on the field, right? I'm not saying he can't do no wrong, right? But watch when he's on the field, right? Quality minutes. You're getting quality minutes from Trusty, right? Quality minutes where we can maybe take off a Alex Freeman, right? Or maybe we can even take off a Jedi or a Dest, right? We're getting quality minutes out of an Austin Trusty. Quality minutes coming out of an Austin Trusty, right? And finally, the last defender-ish player, midfielder, defender, attacker, we have Serginho Dest, right? We have Serginho Dest, right? Serginho Dest. Serginho Dest, man. Serginho fucking Dest. That was a bit aggressive. Okay, that was a little bit of aggressive, but Serginho Dest, my word, man. If we want to talk about disaster classes in the Belgium game, Dest. Absolute abortion of a game out of Serginho Dest, right? Absolute horrendous performance from Serginho Dest in that Belgium game, right? He might have been the worst player on the pitch. Even though he's the most transcendent player on this roster. What a fucking performance he put up on Belgium, right? I'm not saying that he had a great tournament, right? He had an alright tournament. As a whole, he had an alright tournament, right? And to me, it's more so due to him in that role where he's playing really high. He's playing very high for us this tournament. I mean, he was solid. Right? He created some chances, right? He was dribbling like a madman, right? Right? There was times where he did look like Brendan Aronson out there, right? It looked like we had Brendan Aronson playing instead of Serginho Dest, but man, that Belgium game is gonna stick in my head for quite some time, and when I think of that Belgium game, I think of Matt Friese and I think of Serginho Dest. I think of Serginho Dest the most, honestly. I think of just him slipping on bacteria. I don't know, man. I don't know. He gets a lot of great minutes for his club in the Eredivisie for PSV. He gets a lot of great minutes for them. He puts some fantastic performances for them too. He's really gonna need to be in some form. He's really gonna need to be in some top-notch form for us to keep continuing, for us to bring him onto these tournaments, because the World Cup from him wasn't special. It really was. It was a little bit underwhelming from Serginho Dest. When I know that he's one of the most transcendent players on this roster. I know what he can do. I've seen what he can do. It was just a very disappointing tournament from Serginho Dest. All around, very disappointing tournament from Serginho Dest, right? Going on to the attackers, right? Starting off with Alejandro Zendejas, right? I'd rather us be in the MLS than be in Liga MX, right? He didn't really get a whole lot of minutes, right? For us this World Cup, right? But I don't know. I feel like I need to see a little bit more out of Zendejas, right? I don't watch Liga MX, right? I don't really watch the MLS in general, right? But I keep up with it here and there. Not as much as I keep up with the European football, but I keep up with the MLS here and there. But Zendejas, man, I don't know. I just need to see more. I need to see a little bit more, right? I do need to see a little bit more, right? Timothy Weah. I'm not gonna do it this time. I'm not even gonna do it this time. I'm not gonna do it this time, man. Timothy Weah. Actually, you know what? Let's give a round of applause for Timothy Weah. Alright, so Timothy Weah, right? Timothy Weah, I still smell the stink that you put up against that Turkey game. I'm still smelling the stench that you put up in that game. But, I want to give a round of applause. Again, I'll give a round of applause again. You've had a hell of a career. You've had a hell of a career for us in the U.S. men's national team. You've had a hell of a career, right? I think it's best that you step away from the badge. I think it's best for you to just step away from the badge, right? Unless if we're bringing a B team, if we're gonna bring a B team this coming Gold Cup, right? I would hope that we bring an A team, because we haven't been bringing A teams to Gold Cups. I would hope so, but if we're gonna bring another fucking B team again, then maybe he can stick around. Maybe he can stick around like Ream and McKenzie, right? Maybe he can stick around, but oh my goodness. Timothy Weah, the stench from that Turkey game is still lingering in my nose. Please please, for the love of Americans, please retire, right? Please retire from the badge, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping I can still see you in Marseille, right? I'm hoping that you complete the move to Marseille, right? Because you have been getting some good minutes, right? I'm really a Tim Ream. I'm not a Tim Ream. I'm really a Tim Weah fan. I really am a Tim Weah fan. I loved what you did in the 22 World Cup, but it's just, oh man, like the performances leading up to this too, right? It's like the last time we played Belgium in March. I mean, if you go back to that stream, right? I was saying some crazy things about Tim Weah in that stream, right? Yeah, I mean, I think it's best for all parties that it's time. It's time, Weah. It's just time. It's just time. Playing the Gold Cup if we're bringing a B squad, right? But if we're not, it's time. It's time, and I thank you for what you have given us, what you have given to the USA, right? I thank you, right? I do thank you. Brendan Aronson, right? Going on to Brendan Aronson, right? Brendan Aronson, he played a pretty decent tournament, right? Pretty decent tournament coming out of Brendan Aronson, right? But I'd say decent is where you can cap it off, right? It's where you can cap it off at decent, right? I'd say what's stopping it from being a decent to a great player is the finishing, right? It's just the finishing, right? Brendan Aronson can dribble through anybody you want. He can dribble through anybody you want. He can create whatever chance you want, right? He's very good at that. He's very good at dribbling. He's very good at creating these chances, right? These big chances. But my word, is he horrible at finishing, though. He couldn't finish if it was Ruby Rose with him, right? Like, he just couldn't finish. He just couldn't finish at all, right? And it was very hard to watch. In that aspect, it was very hard to watch, right? Leading up to it, it was like, it was jaw-dropping. It was jaw-dropping watching Brendan Aronson move with the ball, right? It was jaw-dropping watching Brendan Aronson create these chances when he was on the pitch, right? It was jaw-dropping. Because he looked like Dino. He was looking like Dino. Like, he really was. He was really looking like Dino for a couple of seconds, right? Unfortunately, he just couldn't finish, right? He just could not finish. And that was just killing me. That was just killing me for the entirety of the tournament, right? It was just killing me. I don't know. I just couldn't get over it. I just couldn't get over that fact. But, yeah, I'm really hoping that he does end up playing some more minutes for Leeds United. I know he's kind of like a fringe starter for Leeds, right? I'm hoping to see more Brendan Aronson in the Premier League, right? In the Premiership, I'm really hoping so. But moving on to Giovanni Reina. Gio! That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying when he hit that goal against Paraguay. I was like, Gio! Yeah, we was screaming like a bitch. Yeah, we were screaming like a bitch during these streams, right? We were screaming. The passion was there, right? The passion was there. Gio Reyna, right? Gio Reyna played as good as he can off the bench, right? He played as good as he can off the bench, right? There was a few players, right? There was a few players in that Belgium game once they got on the pitch, right? Like we see players like Malik Tillman, right? We see players like Malik Tillman, who we're gonna get into next, right? We see players like Malik Tillman, who we're gonna get into next. We see players like Sebastian Berhalter, right? We see players like him, right? We see players like Tyler Adams, and we see players like Giovanni Reina, who actually are down 3-1. They're down 3-1, and say, let me try to win still. Let me still try to win, right? That's a huge problem I think we have with this roster. That's a huge problem I think we have with this roster, right? We're down by so much, and it just shuts off. It just shuts off. Like if it's not a knockout stage game in the World fucking Cup, right? Like, this is, like, when you ask what is your motivation? You ask what is your motivation for this tournament? It should just be that you're in the fucking World Cup, right? You don't need any extra motivation, right? You don't need we're trying to prove the world wrong, right? We're trying to prove the world wrong that Balogun and shit, right? Like, fuck all that shit. You're in the World Cup. That's all the motivation you need. Giovanni Reina played like we were in the fucking World Cup, right? Unfortunately, he wasn't starting, right? Because, I mean, we can only start so many people. right? But he fucking played like it was World Cup time. Like it was time to play in the World Cup. He was playing like it, right? I mean, that's all we could really ask for. That's all we could really ask for a player like Giovanni Reyna, right? His form was immaculate. His form was immaculate despite the amount of minutes he gets at his club, right? He plays in the same club as Joe Scally, right? Little club buddies, right? Little club buddies. But his form was still immaculate, right? His class. There's a saying, right? There is a saying, right? There's a saying, right? One of the first sayings I've heard when I became a fan, right? Form is temporary, right? Form is temporary, right? If you maintain a high form, right, you can always dip. You can always dip. You can always rise, but you can always dip, right? But class is permanent. Class is absolutely permanent, right? And Reyna proved out there that he's class. He is class, right? Despite, like, you see all the pictures, right, of, like, oh, Dortmund had, what's his face? Dortmund had Jude Bellingham and Erling Haaland at the same time, right? You've seen those pictures, right? And then you see the third body in that picture, and it's Giovanni Reyna, right? And it's like, what is bro doing there, right? No, he's fucking like that. He's fucking like that when he gets a chance. When he gets the chance, obviously, right? But he's fucking like that, though. I'm just praying. I'm praying that I get to see more Giovanni Reyna minutes in Europe. I'm praying to see more minutes from Giovanni Reyna. I'm praying, right? Though him and Berhalter, Reyna and Berhalter, right? Those two who've had some interesting history with the U.S. men's national team, right? They shut people the fuck up, right? They shut people the fuck up, right? Like, oh, like we're fucking like daddy merchants and shit, right? They shut all that shit up. They shut all that shit up. I'm hoping to see more out of Berhalter and Reyna moving forward. I'm hoping to see more out of both of those players moving forward, right? But moving on, right? Moving on, we have Malik Tillman, right? We have Malik Tillman. Man, if we didn't have a certain somebody on this team, right? If we didn't have a certain somebody at striker on this team, right? This guy would have been my MVP. This guy would have been everybody's MVP, right? You talk about somebody who are dying to give the 10 shirt to. Man, Tillman looked amazing. He looked amazing, man. He looked amazing, right? He looked amazing, right? He gave so much for Bayer Leverkusen to brag about, right? So much Bayer Leverkusen to brag about, right? I mean, I've been seeing the glaze on Twitter. I've been seeing the glaze on Twitter from Leverkusen, right? Leverkusen was glazing Malik Tillman the entire tournament, right? Rightfully so, too. Rightfully so as well. Tillman looked amazing. Tillman also looked like he made the right decision. If you know, you know. If you know, you know, right? Looking like he made the right decision, right? It is what it is, right? He looked like he made the right decision, right? But Malik Tillman looked amazing. Right, back-to-back games, back-to-back knockout stage games with free kick goals. Who the fuck do you think you are? You're fucking mad. You're absolutely mad. 2 free kick goals in back-to-back knockout stages. You're absolutely mad. Fucking sick tournament from Malik Tillman. Absolutely sick tournament from Malik Tillman, right? I'm really hoping I see more. I mean, we're all hoping we get to see more, right? There's a large group of people who want to see him get that 10 shirt, right? To me personally, right, I'd say, hold them horses a little bit, right? I mean, he's almost there, right? I mean, we still got a certain player that we got to address, right? The elephant in the room. We still got the elephant in the room, but he's not far off, though. He definitely is not that far off, right? He's there. He is there, though. He is definitely there, though. I wouldn't be surprised, but he's definitely there. I'm gonna wait up on him, though. I'm gonna wait up on the next guy, right? Next up, we have we're gonna go into the strikers. Ricardo Pepi, right? Ricardo Pepi plays in the Eredivisie, right? Plays for PSV, right? Ricardo Pepi. Remember before the World Cup? Remember before the World Cup when there was Americans talking about how, oh, I don't know who's getting this top striker spot. I don't know who's getting the top striker spot. It's gonna be a real competition between Pepe and Balogun, right? It's gonna be a real competition between Pepe and Balogun, right? And then the World Cup happened. And then the World Cup happened. The World Cup happened, and the gap became like these now. It's like these at this point. It's like these. Yeah, Ricardo Pepi. Much less to talk about him, right? The better, right? Much less to talk about him, the better. I wish you all the best, right? I wish you all the best. I'm really hoping I see you in the Gold Cup next year, right? I'm really hoping I see you in the Gold Cup, right? I'm not condemning you from making our rosters, right? It's not like you're Tim Weah or anything, right? It's not like you're Tim Weah, right? You didn't play good. You did not play good, right? You were the first sub in the game, in the Belgium game, and everybody was just like, what the fuck are we, what the fuck was that? Like, what the fuck was that substitution, right? But, yeah, I mean, the less said, the better, right? Pepe, I mean, I hope you regain form. I hope you regain form for PSV, right? Him and Dest, little club buddies, right? I'm hoping you do regain form in PSV, right? But if you don't, shit, I mean, it was a great career, right? It was a great career that you had for the badge, right? It was a great career, but I mean, what more can we ask, right? What more can we ask for Ricardo Pepi, right? Gave us some great games, but unfortunately, this tournament was definitely not one of those great games. Moving on to Haji Wright now. Haji Wright, he didn't really get a whole lot of minutes, right? So there's not really a whole lot to talk about with Haji Wright, but yeah, just keep. I do want to actually. Can we give a round of applause for Haji Wright though? Round of applause for Haji Wright, right? 3 straight seasons for Coventry City, right? 3 straight seasons for Coventry City. Top goal scorer for Coventry City. But this fucking year, he got them back to the Prem, right? He got them back to the Prem, right? Now, 3 straight seasons where he's been getting robbed of Player of the Year for them, right? 3 straight seasons he's been getting robbed, but nonetheless, especially last year and this year he got robbed, but nonetheless though, he got them to promotion, and very sick player, right? Very sick player for Coventry City. I'm really hoping to see more of Haji Wright in the Premiership, right? Really hoping to see more of Haji Wright in the Premiership, but moving on to the motherfucking MVP, the real MVP of the entire tournament, right? The real MVP of this entire tournament, right, is Florian Balogun, right? It was Florian Balogun, right? Balogun announced himself, right? He introduced himself to the world, right? He introduced himself to the world, right? If you weren't keeping up with the months prior, though, if you weren't keeping up with the months prior for Balogun, if you were not there for that goal-scoring streak, where he went 8 straight games with a goal, if you are not keeping up with that, brother, seek it. Seek it. Seek it, man. Just absolutely seek it, right? Seek it. Seek it, man. Just seek it. Balogun, there's a lot to talk about with Balogun, right? There's a lot to talk about with Balogun, right? Because he is our MVP, but at the same time, a lot of controversy did come with Florian Balogun, right? The red card, right? Talk about the red card, right? The red card, very, very controversial of a topic. The red card for Florian Balogun, right? Did he deserve it? Fuck no, he didn't. But justice was served. Justice was definitely served, right? Trumpito may have had a hand in this, right? Trumpito may have had a hand in this, right? It may have been pretty illegal, right? Not illegal in the sense of like he should go to jail, but illegal in the sense of somebody's gonna get fired. Somebody's gonna get fired. Not Trump, but Infantino, right? Infantino, man, this was not a good World Cup for you, buddy. This was not a World Cup. Not a good World Cup for you, buddy. Despite all that bullshit, right? We're here to talk ball, right? Balogun, though. Balogun fucking played his ass off, right? He played his absolute ass off. Real MVP of this team, right? Real MVP of this team. Played absolutely amazing, right? Nothing more we could ever ask for Florian Balogun, right? Nothing more we could ever ask. braces, right? Braces, goals, a lot of them, right? He was scoring like a madman, right? There was a point where he was looking for a golden boot coming out of the group stages up until that Turkey game where he didn't really play, but not really. He had a card, right? That was another thing wrong with us, right? That was another thing, right? We kept cards, a whole lot of cards, right? A whole lot of cards given out to this great of a team, right? Balogun played his ass off, right? Balogun played his ass off, right? I was hoping to see him get a big money move, right? I would probably stay in Monaco for another year, right? Just one more year of Monaco ball, right? One more year of Monaco ball, and then we we could move to a bigger club, right? And then Man U, how we doing? How we doing, Man U, right? Or Dortmund, how you doing? How you doing, Dortmund? Barca, how you doing? How you doing, right? There was a little bit of interest from Barca after the tournament, right? I am very, very interested to see what his career ends up happening, right? I very so much think that he's going to end up being on this roster come 2030, right? The best player that we had on this team, right? One of the best players, honestly, because McKennie and Richards both played pretty good ball, right? But I would add Balogun because he played well every single game, right? He played well every single game, right? He disappeared in the Belgium game, right? But the amount of touches he got in the Belgium game were minute. It was minuscule, right? Didn't get a lot of touches, which is also a problem, right? It's also a problem we couldn't beat Belgium, right? Because we couldn't get Balogun the ball, right? We couldn't get him the ball in a good scoring opportunity, right? I think he had like 1 or 2 opportunities to put the ball in the net, right? Saved by Courtois, right? Fuck Courtois, by the way, but nothing more we could really ask for Balogun, right? He played a hell of a tournament, right? And I really cannot wait to see what his career ends up happening, right? He is my MVP. Clap it up for Balogun, right? Clap it up for Balogun, right? Clap it up for Balogun, right? And yeah, damn, that brings the last player, Christian Pulisic, brother, man, Christian Pulisic, man. Where do we even start with Christian Pulisic, right? He played decent, right? He played decent up until this Belgium game, right? Up until this Belgium game was just a. When I was talking about Dest earlier, right? There's 2 people I think of. There's 3 people, right? There's 3 people. I didn't want to spoil that third one because I was going to talk about him at the very end, right? But 3 people that just live in my head in that Belgium game, right? Matt Fries, Dest, Christian Pulisic. Just, oh man, just absolute horrid representations of the U.S. men's national team in that particular game, right? I don't know what to say about Christian Pulisic, right? I don't know what to say about him. There's just a lot of things, a lot of negative things going on with him, right? A lot of negative things surrounding him, right? The girlfriend, right? Or the ex-girlfriend, my bad. The ex-girlfriend, right? The ex-players support, right? What I do want to bring this up too. I do want to bring this up, right, to every single one of the members of the U.S. men's national team, right? I do want to bring this up. Our ex-players, right? The players that we used to have putting on this badge, right? Our ex-players are not your friends. They are not your friends. They are not supporting you, right? They're supporting the badge, not you. They're not supporting you. Only the badge, right? And what I mean by this, right? Is they will slander you. They will slander you to fucking shreds. I feel like they all should learn this from the way Landon Donovan's treated Christian Pulisic for so many years at this point, right? Never got to play with him, right? But he's treated Christian like this for so many years, right? When you look at Clint Dempsey, right? Somebody who has played with Pulisic at some point, right? He has played with Pulisic at some point. Not a whole lot, right? Dempsey was out the door when Pulisic was starting to make his debuts and stuff. They're not your friends. They are not your friend. They are not putting your best interests in mind, right? That goes for Claudio Reyna, right? They're not putting your best interest in mind. Do not. And this is where Christian Pulisic's circle kind of makes sense, right? The circle comments that Landon Donovan has made in the past, right? How nobody can really enter Christian Pulisic's circle, right? They make sense because of people like him, right? They make sense of people who used to put on the badge, right, and just say, oh, this team's soft, right? This team's soft. No fucking shit, they're soft. No fucking shit, right? Tell us something that we don't know, right? Can you tell us something we don't know, right? Can you tell us something that can add to the conversation? Can you tell us something that can progress in the conversation, right? We're not getting Miles McBride. We're not getting Miles McBride back on the team, right? Dempsey's not coming back to the team, right? I mean, Balogun ain't that far off of Dempsey now. Balogun ain't that far off from Dempsey. But we're not getting those players back. We are not getting those players back, right? We have players like Adams and McKinney that are dogs, right? But that just erase that bullshit from your mind. Erase that bullshit from your mind. That bullshit isn't coming back. There's so much more football left to be played in Christian Pulisic's career for me to make any underlining statements, right? Because if we look at the club, right, we look at the clubs, right, AC Milan is one of the 3 best teams in the Serie A still. One of the 3 best teams in the Serie A. And guess who their best player is? Christian Pulisic. He's their best player, right? And it's, I guess it's a little bit close, right? But it's Christian Pulisic, though. Definitively, it is Christian Pulisic. He is their best player for AC Milan. I don't know. We need to see more develop. We just need to see more develop in his career, right? We just need to see more, right? We need to see if he makes it to the 2030 World Cup, right? Did his chain get snatched? Did his chain get snatched by Malik Tillman? Maybe. It might have gotten snatched. It might have gotten snatched. Because that's just how great... And it's not because of how bad Christian Pulisic's played. It's just how great Malik Tillman has played, right? Because Pulisic looked amazing in the Paraguay game. He looked amazing in the Australia game, right? He came in to that Turkey game, right? And although that final goal was kind of an Arda Güler highlight on Christian Pulisic, right? Despite if you just erase that last play, Christian Pulisic came in and balled the fuck out. He came in and balled the fuck out and played some of his best football for the badge in his career, right? He played fucking incredible in that Turkey game, right? Up until that last play. But he played incredible in that game, right? The Bosnia game, he played terrific. The Belgian game was an abortion, but he played terrific this tournament, though. He did play terrific. He played quality ball, right? He looked like a 10, right? He looked like a 10 up until that Belgium game. He looked like a 10. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know, right? I don't know. We need consistency. And Christian Pulisic, like, we heard it after the game. Right? We heard it after the game. He injured, like, fucking... He had, like, 3 different injuries leaving the Belgium game. Right? So who knows when he's going to be back playing for AC Milan? Who knows? It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if he makes it to 2030. I really don't know. And that was my entire point of the last video. Is I don't know if we're going to have some of these players, right? Some of these top tier players back for the 2030 World Cup, right? And if they're back, are they going to be in form? Are they going to be in form, right? Pulisic was the only one that was kind of out of form. And he came back to the badge and just whipped that shit back up, right? He picked it up where he left off with us. There's nothing more we could really ask for a Christian Pulisic. I'm very proud to see what he has. I'm very proud to have him as an American, right? I'm very proud to see what he can do. I'm very proud to see what more he can do for us. That Belgium game is just going to live. It's just going to live in our heads for a while. It's going to live in our heads for years at this point, right? Until the next World Cup, right? And if you're not playing in the next World Cup, it's going to live with us forever, honestly. It will honestly live with us forever, that tournament. And how you played in that last game. It's going to live with us forever. That is probably my biggest takeaway from Christian Pulisic. It's just... You didn't play bad, but you disappointed the world. You did disappoint the world, right? You did not play bad at all, though. He really didn't play bad. He played a great tournament as a whole. He played great. But man, was that disappointing to leave. he wasn't helping. He was not helping in that game. I'm sorry to say, he just wasn't helping. It breaks my heart saying it too. It breaks my heart saying that too, man, because like he was one of like he still is one of my favorite players, right? When he got the 10 shirt for Chelsea, right? I was like backflips. I was doing them. I was doing the backflips, right? I don't know, man. I don't know with Christian Pulisic. And finally, the last kind of topic I do want to bring up is Mauricio Pochettino, right? I do want to bring up Mauricio Pochettino, and besides his lack of midfield depth, right? Besides his lack of midfield depth, I think he pitched his best game. I think he pitched one of the best games that he could have possibly pitched. He managed almost correctly. It was almost perfect managerial from Mauricio Pochettino, right? People are going to argue like, oh, like you should have just played the starters against Turkey, right? You should have just won the game, right? I'm hoping now that the World Cup is over, I'm hoping now that the tournament is over, you now realize how soft our team is, right? Soft not in the sense of they play soft, but soft in the sense of they get injured a lot. They're just not like health isn't really our strong suit, right? It's just not the players that we have, the top tier players that we have, it's just not their strong suit, right? We don't have a whole lot of Ironmans on the team, right? We don't have Ironmans. That just isn't a part of our identity, right? It's just not, right? At least not anymore. It's just not a part of our identities, right? A lot of our players get hurt, right? Shit. The toughest player on the team, Tyler Adams, right? He gets hurt a lot, right? He even gets hurt a lot, right? And it's more so because his play style kind of encourages injuries, but even players like Tyler Adams, he gets hurt a lot, right? So I do think he made some risky decisions, but they were the correct decisions, right? Now the Belgium game, right? He may have been riding his wave a little bit too much, right? He may have been riding the wave a little bit too much, but I mean, shit, everybody on the team was riding the wave too much. And if this is the last tournament that we are going to see out of Mauricio Pochettino, if this is the last tournament, full audio round of applause for Mauricio Pochettino, right? If this is his last tournament, right? And I really hope it's not. I'm praying that it's not his last tournament, because if it is, and we have to go back into the job market to look for another manager, I don't know how we improve. I don't know how much we can improve from Poch. I don't know how much we can improve from Poch. He was our guy, right? He was the guy to do it for us. And I'm hoping he can make it to 2030. He was great. He's an honorary American, right? Honorary American, because he's pretty Argentine. But honorary American, right? I can't say enough great things about Mauricio Pochettino, right? Favorite manager of all time, right? One of the best in his fields, right? One of the best in his fields. Beforehand, coming to the U.S. men's national team, seeing what he did, you realize this is the same guy who brought Spurs to a Champions League final, right? Tottenham. He brought those blokes to a Champions League final. Poch. Tottenham. Champions League final. Those are like Spurs and Champions League final are just some... That doesn't exist. That doesn't exist together. It's like James Harden and NBA finals. That doesn't exist. That just doesn't exist, right? It's just like unheard of. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's my rant. That's a little bit of my rant, right? It's a little bit of my rant. As a whole, right, to the U.S. men's national team, we played. I mean, it was a dream. It was an absolute dream to live. I can't wait for the next World Cup, right? Do I think we have a better chance this next World Cup? No. I talked about it before. I do think this was our chance, right? I still believe this was our chance, and we kind of blew it, right? A lot of people are just content with the round of 16, right? You know I wasn't. I definitely wasn't, right? I wanted that Spain game. I really wanted that Spain game, right? Because Spain, I talked about it. I've been talking about that before, right? That if we don't win the final, right? If we weren't gonna win it, Spain's a really good team. Spain's a very good team, and if we were gonna play them next, right? That was really gonna be our test. In my opinion, that was gonna be our test. But we couldn't even beat Belgium. We couldn't beat Belgium, and Belgium's a retirement home right now. Like it is a retirement home, right? A lot of players that are on the verge of retirement. We couldn't beat them. We didn't deserve to be on the same pitch as Spain, obviously. We just did not deserve to be on the same pitch as Spain. Very disappointing. It's a very disappointing fact to live through, but here we are. It's reality now. It's reality. That's going to be it, right? It's going to be it. Tomorrow, or I guess not tomorrow, but today, we will be streaming, right? Or this is going to be posted after I'm done streaming, right? You'll be seeing me in this outfit of... You'll be seeing me in my Spain outfit, right? You'll be seeing my Spain jersey, right? A little bit of a flex, right? Last time they won the World Cup, right? Don't mind the shorts. Don't mind the shorts. Do not mind them at all. But that is gonna be it for my rant, right? Is gonna be it for my rants. Yeah, Spain's gonna whoop that ass, right? Spain's gonna whoop that ass, right? If they did not whoop that ass, awkward, right? A little bit awkward. It's gonna be it for my rant. I'm really hoping Poch stays, right? I'm really hoping Poch stays. I'm hoping Christian Pulisic. I'm hoping he figures it out and he regains that top class form that I know he is a top class player. I'm really hoping that he regains all that. Balogun, I'm really hoping moves to a bigger club, right, and shows how much of a top-notch player that he really is, right? He still puts great performances for Monaco, right? I just want to see a little bit more from Balogun in the club level, right? Chris Richards, best defender in the world, in my opinion, best defender in the world. And Malik Tillman, go win a Ballon d'Or. Go win a Ballon d'Or, right? And yeah, that's gonna be it. New video, next video coming. Who fucking knows when, right? But yeah, that's gonna be it. We'll be back. We will be. But until then though,